My name is Brady, and today I want to talk about entitlements that hide behind compliments and words like "you're so generous" or "you're such a good man." I paid off my girlfriend's entire student loan, $18,000. I didn't do it because she asked me to. I did it because I loved her, and I thought that's what love looked like. But when she said I should pay off her sister's student loan, too, that was the moment I realized this wasn't about love anymore. And just like that, I knew I was being used. So I reversed everything. But before I get into all that, you need to know how we got to that point in the first place. Because none of this happened overnight. It all started long before that ridiculous demand. My girlfriend, Nora, and I first met back in college. We weren't in the same friend group or anything like that, but we'd occasionally see each other around campus. She always struck me as someone who had her life together. While most of us were just focused on getting through our classes, Nora already had a part-time job lined up. I found her drive attractive. It made her stand out. But we didn't start dating while we were in school. I ran into her at a small alumni meetup a few months after we tossed our caps, and it was like we were seeing each other in a whole new light. We talked, we laughed, and before long, we were texting regularly, then going out on dates. I thought she was someone I could build a future with. As our relationship grew, I wanted to build trust the right way, so I started helping her with little things. Sending her lunch when she had long shifts, and covering small bills when she came up short. Just the kind of things you do when you care about someone and want to be supportive. I just believed in showing up in the small ways that matter. After I graduated from college, I was fortunate enough to get a job at my uncle's IT company. I know, some people hear family connection and immediately roll their eyes. But let me be clear, my uncle didn't hand me the job out of pity. He knew I had the skills. But yes, the door opened for me because we're related. I won't lie about that. It was a good job, and the pay was better than what most people our age were getting at the time. I was grateful, but I also felt a strong sense of responsibility not to misuse what I'd been given. To me, the real flex was being able to show up for the people I cared about. When Nora and I started dating after college, I was learning things about her bit by bit. One thing that caught me off guard was finding out she had student loans. While we were in school, we weren't close back then, so she had no reason to share it. Now that we were together, she started opening up more, especially about the stress she was under. Every so often, I'd notice her tense up when she checked her debt. Eventually, she told me that she owed money, and worse, that the balance wasn't shrinking even though she was paying. I could tell it really weighed on her. A part of me started thinking about what I could do, not because she asked, but because I cared. If you love someone and you're in a position to ease their burden, why wouldn't you at least consider it? But that right there is where the story begins to shift. Because what starts out as love and generosity can sometimes reveal things you never expected. After hearing her vent about it one more time, something in me just said, do something. Now, I'd just gotten a small bonus from work. I figured this was a perfect moment to use some of what I had for someone I cared about. The thing is, the bonus wasn't enough. Her total loan balance was $18,000. The bonus covered part of it, but I had to go into my personal savings to bridge the gap. She was coming over that weekend, as we didn't live together yet. While she was busy around my apartment, I quietly logged into the loan payment system through a third-party processor. I handled the transaction, and just to have something tangible to show her, I recorded a short video of the confirmation screen. Later that evening, after we'd eaten and were just relaxing together, I pulled out my phone and told her I had something to show her. I handed her the phone, and as the video played, I watched her closely. At first, she looked confused, trying to piece together what she was seeing. But then it clicked. Her mouth dropped open, and her eyes welled up with tears almost immediately. She turned to me, threw her arms around me, kissed me like her life depended on it, and called me the best man she's ever known. I can't lie, I felt appreciated. That whole night, she was softer, closer, and everything felt warm. When we were intimate that night, it was sensational. I went to bed thinking, this is what real connection feels like. The week that followed was even better. She seemed lighter, happier. The vibe between us was on another level. I genuinely believed we had turned a corner in our relationship, like the bond between us had grown deeper. I really did. So, up to this point, things between Nora and me were actually going great. One Saturday, we were just lounging on the couch when Nora started talking about her sister. Now, I'd heard her mention her sister before. But this time she said, my sister's been drowning in her student loans too. She's got about $25,000 left to pay. I nodded, listening, thinking it was just a passing comment. But then she added, in the most casual voice, "You've already helped me. Imagine how much better I'd feel knowing my sister's free too. You're so generous. You could just take care of hers too." I'll be honest, my mind didn't even know how to respond right away. The assumption that because I helped her, I'd be fine helping her sister, too, didn't sit well with me. I told her plainly, "Look, what I did for you came from a place of love. I wasn't trying to become your family's financial safety net. I spent that money because I genuinely care about you, not because I signed up to pay everyone's debts." But instead of appreciating that boundary, she pushed harder. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "If you really cared about me, you wouldn't draw the line at just one family member." She framed it like this were about love. That if I loved her, I'd show it by helping the people she loved. That's when I felt something deep in my gut shift. That night, I tried to explain again that $25,000 was too much for me to give at that moment, especially after just stretching myself to help her. But she didn't want to hear that. She said something I'd ever heard from her. "If you won't do this for my sister, I don't know if I can be with someone so selfish." That's when I realized this wasn't about love. It was about entitlement. And I couldn't pretend I didn't see it anymore. So I got up, went into my home office, and pulled up the details of the loan payment. I had used a third-party service to make the transfer, mostly for convenience, but now I was grateful for that decision. The payment was still pending. It hadn't been fully processed yet. I checked the cancellation terms twice, then a third time, to be sure. And then I hit the cancel button. When I got the email confirmation that the $18,000 payment had been successfully reversed, I sat there for a moment, just staring at the screen. I walked back into the living room where Nora was still scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. I looked her in the eye and said, "Since you said you don't know if you can be with someone so selfish, I've reversed the money I spent paying off your loan." She blinked. It took her a second to register what I said. But when she did, it was like a switch flipped. She jumped up, her face twisted with rage. "Are you serious right now?" she shouted. "You're so petty. This is why men like you will always be insecure. You're not even a real man." I didn't respond. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I knew nothing I said would matter. She didn't want to understand. She just wanted more. And now that the gravy train had stopped, she was furious. She stormed out of my apartment, slamming the door behind her. I just stood there in silence, watching it all unfold, realizing for the first time that I'd been in love with a version of her that never really existed. And that, right there, was the snap. That same evening, I noticed her Instagram stories started flooding with cryptic quotes. Stuff like "real love doesn't come with conditions," and "some people only give to feel powerful." At first, I rolled my eyes and kept it moving. But then it escalated. She started posting not-so-subtle jabs, full of vague language, but pointed enough that anyone who knew us would realize she was talking about me. A few hours later, she uploaded this long, dramatic post. It had a sad selfie, a black-and-white filter, and a paragraph claiming she had just ended a relationship with someone who used money to control and manipulate. She wrote that she felt emotionally drained and that she had been giving her all while being made to feel small. She even added hashtags like #NarcissistSurvivor and #CheapMenSuck. I wish I could say I was shocked, but honestly, I was just disappointed. My plan was simple: stay quiet, stay respectful, and let the truth be what it is. But silence doesn't work in the age of the internet. A few of my friends started messaging me, people I hadn't talked to in months. Some were concerned, some were confused. A couple asked outright, "Bro, what's going on? Did you really do her dirty?" That's when I realized Nora had started telling people her version of the story. She told people I made a grand gesture just to throw it in her face. She said I took the money back out of spite. She even claimed I had trust issues and used money to manipulate her emotions. What she conveniently left out was her demand that I also pay her sister's $25,000 debt, and the threat she made about leaving me if I didn't. Then came the screenshots. I started getting tagged in group chats. People were sending me screen grabs of her posts, parts of our private messages, and her comments under shady memes. Some of them said things like, "This is why I don't trust men with money," or "Never let a man act like your savior." She was smart about it, never said my name, never showed our exact conversation. But if you knew us, you knew who she meant. She was careful, calculated, and emotionally manipulative. She wanted to win in the court of public opinion and ruin my name so people wouldn't question her side of the story. I sat back and watched my name get dragged, not for what I did, but for what she made people think I did. And the craziest part? Not once did she mention the loan demand. Not once did she say he reversed the payment because I said I wouldn't stay with him unless he paid my sister's debt too. Because she knew that made her look bad. So instead, she played the victim, and I became the villain in her carefully edited drama. About 3 days after I reversed the $18,000 payment I had used to clear Nora's student loan, my phone lit up with her name. I never knew she would call my number. I picked up, and right from the start, she came in hot. She started by telling me, in a cold, almost rehearsed voice, that if I cared at all about her, or even about my own reputation, I'd repay her loan again. Then, without skipping a beat, she added that I should also go ahead and clear her sister's $25,000 loan too. I didn't interrupt her even though every sentence felt more ridiculous than the last. Then came the threat. She said if I didn't pay, she would keep telling people I was emotionally abusive and cheap, that I used her. She told me she'd already started spreading the truth, and that if I didn't fix it, she'd make sure everyone around me believed her version of the story. She said it with such confidence. But instead of reacting, I just laughed and ended the call without another word. What she didn't know or see coming was that I had been recording the entire call. I had the whole thing saved. I did it because I could feel this was going to get ugly, and I needed to protect myself. I wasn't about to let her keep calling me names like cheap and emotionally abusive, when all I did was draw a line and protect myself. I mean, I stayed silent at first, hoping it would all die down, but she didn't stop. Now, she is even sending threats like, if you want me to stop, you know what to do, basically demanding I pay her and her sister's debt, or she'd keep ruining my reputation. That was the final straw. A few days after that ridiculous call, I went straight to my lawyer's office with the recording. My lawyer listened to it and said this was a textbook example of defamation and malicious intent. We started the process immediately and filed a defamation lawsuit against Nora. Now here's where things took a bizarre turn. A few days after Nora got served the court papers, I got a message from her sister, Celine. At first, I thought she was just trying to keep the peace, maybe even embarrassed about how her sister had acted. She started off by apologizing, said she was sorry for all the drama, that she never meant to be involved, and that she respected what I did. I appreciated that, honestly. I wasn't angry at her directly. So, I responded politely, kept things calm, respectful. But after a few messages, her tone started to shift. She'd throw in compliments that didn't fit the conversation. Things like, any woman would be lucky to have a guy as generous and smart as you. Or, I always thought you were way too mature for Nora. I ignored it, thinking maybe she was just being awkward. But then, she sent a message late one night saying something like, if you ever want to talk to someone who actually understands you, I'm here. That was it for me. I realized exactly what she was doing. She wasn't just trying to smooth things over. She was trying to slide in. Whether it was out of genuine interest or just some twisted power game, I didn't care. The whole situation already felt messy enough. I didn't need to entertain anything that would complicate things further. So I blocked her right then and there. Now that the dust has settled, I've had some time to think about what happened and what it really meant. See, anyone can throw money at a situation and pretend it's affection. But true love? It's not about how much you can give. It's about whether the other person would still value and respect you if you had nothing left to give. If I lost my job tomorrow, would she have stayed by my side? Or would she have found someone else to foot the next bill? Those are hard questions I had to ask myself. And to be honest, the answers weren't pretty. I learned that love without mutual respect is just performance. And a relationship where you constantly have to prove your worth with money isn't love. It's pressure disguised as affection. So I made my peace with what happened. I don't regret reversing that loan one bit. If anything, it was the most important decision I've made for myself in a long time. That $18,000? It's still sitting there now, back in my account. But it's not just money anymore. It's a reminder. A reminder that I deserve love that doesn't come with a price tag. And honestly, saving that $18,000 feels like the best gift I've ever given myself. Because I didn't just save money. I saved myself from a relationship that was built on expectations I could never truly meet without losing who I was.